Hi, y'all, and welcome to the Rookie Adult Podcast, where I unpack all the chaos of my young adult life as a Catholic college student. I'm your host, Kylie, and today we don't have a peer, but we have an adult with a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of time in the game. And so she comes from Michigan, and she is down here in Florida now, going into her third season as an assistant coach for the women's lacrosse team for the Gyrenes. And we're super excited to hear the tips and tricks from her and all the wisdom. So please welcome to the show, Coach Steph.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's fun.
How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. Yeah, it's a good day.
Yeah, we started with a game.
Big game.
A hard-fought game at noon in Florida weather. Do you have any main takeaways from that game?
I mean, since you mentioned the weather, I got back in my car and the real feel on it was 105, and I was like, I think that is what the turf felt like out there. So yeah, honestly, it was a battle. That was the best we've played against that team. Super proud of the girls. We've got not a lot of subs, and you could just see so much fight in them every minute of the game. So for me, that was great. And if my voice cracks, it's because I was yelling a lot, but in a good way.
It's a good, you're always so pumped on the sideline. It's so entertaining. But I think that is kind of the big thing is, like, even with the loss, like, they left, like, nothing on the field. And I definitely miss that aspect of being able to leave everything on the field. And so it makes me really happy when my teammates do that. Like, given the opportunity to play, and they do really leave it all there.
Yeah.
So it was good. And then we have a game next week.
Yep, next Wednesday.
Yes, taking on another competitor. So that should be good. But the main kind of idea I wanted to bring you on for was kind of just all your wisdom for our viewers, both the peers and the seniors that are graduating, my friends, and then also just like, what has been your experience? So you're also an Ave alum. So if you want to just talk a little bit about what was your Ave experience, and then like finding a job and like going into the workforce.
Sure, yeah. My Ave experience was really fantastic. So I was a lacrosse player. I had a good friend group. I felt like as much as you could have life balance, I did. It took me a long time to figure that out. I didn't have a bedtime until senior year when my roommates were all in a dorm. They're like, okay, and now we go to bed at night. I was like, what is this? What is this? But then as we started going to bed, I was like, wow, this is a much better routine than I've had. And suddenly I have energy and I feel like I can, breathe and be alive. So as far as, kind of getting a job and stuff, I got one of the best and scariest phone calls I've ever gotten, which was from my sister. Senior year, she calls me up. This is one of my older siblings. And she's like, hey, how's your senior year going? And I'm like, everything's chill. Like, things are really fun. I'm just playing lacrosse, doing my classes. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, like, everything's good. And she's like, Stephanie, you need to get a job. Your grades don't matter. Lacrosse doesn't matter. You need to get a job. And I was like, oh, dang. So I went home, opened the door, honest to goodness, and I talked to my roommate, and I was like, we need to get jobs, like, now. So we like, sat down in our laptops in our dorm, no clue what we're even doing, and we just start, like, rage applying. And I actually did get a job at a big law firm out of school, and it was just a big life transition in general. So for anybody who is, like, has some anxiety about that shift, it's okay. Like, no one has it all figured out. I don't now, and I definitely didn't then. But there are some things that I would encourage, and I'm hoping like that maybe that's why I'm here. But one of the things would be just like, I always tell my graduating seniors, whatever you loved about your college experience, and I work with athletes, so whatever you loved about, college sports too, take that with you into the next chapter. So for me, I had 4 years of good formation, great friendships, working out every day, a great community. And I kind of just, it was a little bit like the prodigal son, like I kind of just like ditched all of that when I graduated and had no idea how that was just going to like grenade my life. So I worked really hard at the law firm, got promoted, did well. And then everything else was just kind of a wash. I was not in a good relationship. I stopped going to the gym.
Yeah.
I stopped really seeking, deep intentional friendships of, community that could build me up. So looking back now, there's a lot that I would do differently.
Yeah.
And so part of my advice to, graduating seniors is like, appreciate those things. Don't take them for granted. It's going to be, harder. It'll be an uphill climb because of a lot of the world is not doing those things. A lot of the world is not working out, not going to church. You look at the loneliness stats, people are having a really hard time. And so, figuring out with the Lord too, like, how can I not replicate my college experience? Because, it's going to be different, right?
More mature.
It shouldn't be the exact same. That's problematic, but it should be the good parts, right? Some fulfilling things. And one of my really good friends said to me once, she had graduated a couple years earlier, and she said, when Ave grads go out and get jobs and go into the world, we stand out. And that always stuck with me. Not in a like, oh, we're so good kind of way, but I've seen that. I've seen that in my jobs. I've seen that just in my friendships where there's something special about this place. There's something special about the formation where you go in and it's like, I know how to have a good attitude. I know how to suffer well. I know that there's a greater meaning and purpose. I know how to be, a good teammate, and that helps me be a good teammate at work. I know how to manage a lot of things. That helps me to be a good manager.
Yeah. So you worked at a law firm. What was your undergrad in as far as like, what did you graduate with?
The other advice I'd have is there's no such thing as a linear path. Okay. So for me, I was actually an English literature major with a political science minor. I wanted to go to law school, wanted to do the lawyer thing. And I was on track. And my own brother, who's an attorney, was like, do anything else with your life. So what I ended up doing after the law firm, I moved back to Michigan for a couple years and worked for a software company where I learned tricks of the trade, how to do cybersecurity, actually.
Women in STEM.
Women in STEM, which is not on any map that you will ever find of get an English degree.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, it's worked out really well for me. So now I'm a manager in cybersecurity and coaching college lacrosse. And I can tell you, like, it's such an analytical job and there's so much critical thinking that I laugh all the time, where you would never think this would be a good path. But the reality is, like, it's close reading. It's figuring out, like, okay, what's the issue here? What are the vulnerabilities? Maybe something, is wrong with a piece of code. Like, you have to figure out the broader picture. And in order to do that, you need to have a lot of patience. And you also need to be very good at writing and communication. So I use that degree every day, even in technology.
You mentioned, obviously, the balance between your work, your career, and then work as a college lacrosse coach. What has your journey been like as a lacrosse coach? If you want to share that, and then obviously present day.
It's been a lot of fun. It's so humbling. It's been really humbling. When I started coaching with us, I got my first coaching job. I have to tell this story. I was 22 and I was coaching at a Catholic high school. I was the head coach. They were, excited to have me. I was excited to be there. My very first practice, if you ever want to talk about messing up at a job, at the very last second, I'm kind of a creative, so I've thought of like a fun drill, like fruit basket upset plus lacrosse. Something I just kind of had made up like 30 seconds before. We start doing the drill, and it is not working at all. And this is my very first day, and one of my players looks at me, and she's like very deadpan, and she goes, "Do you even know how this drill works?" And I started dying laughing. I was like, apparently not. We're going to move on from this. And so we moved to a different thing. And then for the college world, so I started out high school. I knew I wanted to coach college, but ended up finding that my college coach here had a position open in Boston. And so I called her and I was like, hey, do you think I should apply to this job? She's like, you should definitely apply. She might regret that now, but I did apply, and I had a software job that was remote at the time. And so I figured, okay, this should work. Like, it's COVID era, like everybody would be able to move. So this was 1 month before the collegiate season started.
Okay.
And I called up my coach. I said, hey, the good news is I'm applying for this job. The bad news is my real job, because I needed both, you know, is not going to let me move that far from headquarters. So, and I'm like literally crossing my fingers on the phone. I was like, so I'm going to find a new job 1 month out from season when I'm supposed to move.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. God bless her. On the other end of the line, she goes, I believe in you, Steph. I was like, great. Hang up the phone, start rage applying again.
Yeah.
And all I can say is like, the Lord really worked. He really, you know, wanted me there. He came through. I got an offer with Domino's Pizza.
Yes.
Working for their corporate office, which I'm still with. We love Domino's. And so yeah, ever since it's been great. As far as the journey, it's just so many ups and downs.
Yeah, yeah. How has it felt coming back to your alma mater as far as, but like on the other side? Does it feel different? Do you feel like sometimes you're still a player at practice, or?
Yes, that feels targeted, but yes.
No.
It's been great. Like, I think I have a new appreciation that I didn't have before for, I always joke, like, it's a new team, but it's kind of the same thing. Like, you guys remind me so much of my teammates. Like, you guys are so close. You love each other. You get along. You are so absurdly competitive at practice, which I love.
Yes.
Some days I do feel like a player. I feel like I kind of oscillate between being way too intense and yelling at you guys and like completely just joking around and like, Coach Steph, can you get focused? Okay. So that's, you know, I'm working on that. Some sort of balance. Maybe I'll get it.
It's funny because I feel like you're one of the most flexible coaches though, and you're not afraid to admit, hey, something's not working, or hey, like, let's stop and talk about this, and then like redisperse and into the drill. Which is really helpful after, you know, many years and like many different coaches. I feel like you're the first where like you're really involved and you're on our level wanting to figure it out with us, which is huge. But okay, so you're now down here at Ave. You're still working with your Domino's job.
Yeah.
They're just allowing you now to still work remote.
Yeah, so I've been able to be remote with them for, this is my 5th collegiate season now.
Wow.
So next year, you know, cry face. Next year I will be moving back to Michigan.
A little northern.
It's going to be northern again. I'll be back in the cold.
Yeah.
So it's bittersweet, but you know, people ask me like what I think about it. I'm like, I know I'm going to bawl my eyes out, but I also know like, to me, you guys are my family, really, and it feels like an open door where, you know, I hope you guys know, like, if you needed a job reference or somebody to talk to or anything in your life, like, it really would be an open door, and I couldn't be happier. And I know that it'll be very hard in the moment, but I also just hope you guys know it's a friendship that I hope lasts.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can always visit if we want a little northern vacation.
Please do.
We'll come up to Michigan. Do you want to keep doing lacrosse coaching? You know, do you still appreciate that balance of having a career but also working? You know, high school you've done, but also college. Which, do you have a preference?
I do.
No one's taken if it's not.
Yeah, I definitely do prefer the college level. Okay. There's good things about each level. Like, I actually kind of like the bad attitudes of high school. I like So in the summers I coach you know, a high school club, and I sort of like it when they have like the glum faces and stuff, because I kind of poke fun at them and figure out how to get them to be competitive and how to get them to be kids again. I think that's fun. But as far as just day to day, I mean, I am born for college athletics. When I go to these high school tournaments in the summer, I am screaming on the sideline. My hat is off. I think people are gonna like call CPS or stuff.
Sorry, but you can't keep coaching.
We did win the championship, but you know, it also made me wonder how that was gonna go.
Good formation for that.
Good formation, yeah. Next year, you know, hopefully it's okay to say this, but next year I'll be working with Eastern Michigan, which is D1. So I'm excited. I got
Awesome.
to meet those coaches and see what they're doing. They're a newer program, and I'm excited to meet that team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you at all a little nervous about the unknown?
I'm nervous.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll
That's
be
fair.
different. There's different challenges everywhere. I'm really excited to see, each team is different, and everything I've heard, talking with them just sounds like a great program. And you hear like the big names they're going against. It's like, this is going to be cool.
The big leagues.
Experience. Yeah.
You'll be on ESPN Plus. And you're like, we know her.
It'll be fun. But yeah, it seems like a really cool group.
Doors are opening and closing, and it's all in God's timing. What I also wanted to kind of ask you your tips on interviewing. So you mentioned that you rage like filled out or rage applied. I guess you want to apply to as many jobs as possible. Would you suggest applying to jobs outside of your comfort zone or like even outside of your field? What's your take on the interviewing process?
Yes.
And maybe even early on, since I'm early on.
Early on, yeah.
What's kind of like?
There's a few. One of my favorites is just like know your own resume really well. So in terms of if I'm going into an interview, I'll do a few things. One, know something about the company, study up on the company. If they've won awards for something, they've done well, maybe they launched a new product this year, know something about that going in. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say, hey, I did my homework on it. I know a few of these things. But know your own resume really well. So I'll actually spend a couple hours studying my own resume, which seems odd.
You're studying yourself.
But it helps because what you're doing is creating a story. You're figuring out, what is my professional story? What am I able to market? What are what's called transferable skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, a lot of college students, I will so often hear them say like, oh, well, I'm the word just, like I'm just doing this in this role. So figuring out how to translate, okay, what is the transferable skill here? Maybe you're doing something, on an Excel sheet. It's a boring administrative task, but you're proving your admin skills. You're proving that you're organized. This podcast is very entrepreneurial, right? You've launched your own podcast. That is sweet. That's something that you bring to an interview and you talk about. So I would say even if you don't feel like you've done quote unquote big things, you really have. And so being able to show, this is my work ethic, this is where I'm coming from.
I think it's a little daunting for us, when we're looking at applications or different job postings and they say 3 years of experience or experience really required or preferred when you already know all of this. I guess maybe it depends on the job, but how much flexibility do you think there is in employers hiring fresh graduates?
There's a lot, yeah. And I think I always joke when people tell me like, I'm worried about, what internship I'm going to get and I need a really good internship. I'm like, at no time in history has someone said, thank God the intern is here. So the internship you get, like, unless you're maybe upper level finance or something, or maybe, specific areas of engineering, you're getting work experience. You're figuring out whether it's an internship or entry level job, how to be an adult, how to, handle yourself. I read a great Forbes article that was like, don't discount having a great attitude at work, and that might sound like a soft skill. No one wants to work with the person who's like, oh my gosh, my life's just miserable every minute of the day. Being excited, having that balance of like, I want to work hard, I want to learn, but I also don't know everything, and I'm open to that. That can make a big difference. So I would say just go for it. And one of my life phrases that I don't know if I made up or not.
We'll credit you.
I'll take credit. One of my life phrases that I always say to myself too is like, let them tell me no. So often I hear people say like, oh, well, I'm not going to have that 3 years experience, or I don't have, this specific thing they mentioned. Okay, let them tell you no. Maybe they've got a bunch of applicants and maybe they don't. Or maybe they look at your resume and they say, wait a second, they're from the same area that I'm in, or this seems like a good candidate, or maybe, networking is huge. Maybe you know someone that helps a ton. So let them tell you no. There's plenty of
Yeah.
opportunities for rejection.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yes.
But I will never tell myself no. And if I feel myself starting to like doubt myself, just let them tell me no. I'll go and cast that line and then see if they bite.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. And I think you just have to be vulnerable in that. Like, you have to put yourself out there. Also part of the job, because I find, like, I really like certain job descriptions, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I could totally do that. But I have no connections to the company. Like, there is no relation, and so I'm completely new to them. And I think that's just kind of daunting. It's like, well, you don't know me. But opposed to other jobs where I do know people or I know some of the higher-ups, it's like, that's a lot more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And then that's a good way to get a job too.
Yeah. Practically speaking, what did your resume look like? So it's kind of funny, is it a 1-page or 2-page? I've heard the thing, like, you never go over 1 page, especially like a college graduate. You don't have a ton of experience. And do you include volunteer work, volunteer experience? How far back do you go? What kind of jobs do you include or don't include? All the side hustles.
Yeah. No, these are all great questions. I'm still laughing about what did your resume look like? The same sister who called me was generous enough to say, I don't know how you got a job with this resume. So I really was God. It was God. It was God. I've done a lot of work on it. Okay. There are so many good tools out there, and not plugging anybody, but I've actually, sent mine to one of my friends who was like, hey, help me with the formatting. Yeah. Formatting is the bane of my existence. That 1 page or 2, oh my gosh, it's difficult. A few pointers. So thinking back to the resume as like your professional story. Mm-hmm. I always look at, what are the things that I feel absolutely confident talking about in an interview? Mm-hmm. What are the things that I am most proud of? You probably did, somewhere between 10 and 50 bullets at whatever job you've had. Yeah. Only 3 are things that you would like to tell a compelling story about in an interview. So, not saying that, 3 to 5 is the rule, but like figure out, drill down on something specific. Yeah. Another helpful thing is anytime, we're such a data-driven society, if you can use metrics, that can be very helpful. And so if it's like improved, thinking of marketing, improved engagement by 10%, that kind of stuff goes a long way. Or I was working for attorneys, so managed caseloads of 150 to 250 cases at a time. Yes, those kind of things, like providing numbers and context can help. I prefer 1 page, if you can get to 1 page. It's really hard to do that. And then the skills, that's always a tricky one too, is like, people will be like, oh, is this really a skill? Is this the soft skill, the hard skill? Yeah. You can work on all that. And I do think there are a lot of like great professional articles out there on that. But finding, look up job descriptions that are similar. Yes. I do believe in never lie on your resume. Be absolutely 100%. I always am thinking of like, if someone's going to call me on this, I better know what this bullet was. That's why you want to study your resume. You don't want to be in a situation of like, was that on there? Like, don't do that. So know really well what the story is, because people come from different backgrounds. They won't know all the jobs you've done. Yeah. And I also try not to use too many acronyms. Like there are cybersecurity has a million acronyms. So the ones that people know I will use. But other than that, I do try to spell things out, because there are just so many different, degree programs, so many different names within, various businesses.
That makes sense. And you were just recently on the other side of looking at applications, I believe. What is like an intention? Did you ever find there was a trend like you go to one spot on the application, or like something really grabs your attention right away? Or do they all just kind of morph into?
They don't morph. I would say I do look at the body of it pretty carefully. So I'll look at what their position was. I'm always interested, this is for later in the hiring process. This won't be for your age group, but did they get promoted? Did you work at each place for 1 year? That's going to be a red flag. if you put some time in at different companies, that's helpful too. Yeah.
Okay. And what are some websites? There's a ton of different websites out there to apply. And then there's also like going to the site of the company itself and applying through that. But do you have any popular third-party websites, or do some employers look at others more than?
Yeah, I think, there's different stuff on like LinkedIn can be, have some older apps and stuff. Like, it is good to go to the company website, I would say, for places you want to work for. So that's one way to search is like, these are the places I'm going to look and, put my name out there. Another way, there's some hacks on LinkedIn too, where like you can look up the name of the company and then in all caps put and hiring manager. That will actually help. Yeah, this is so nerdy.
Such a good hack.
But it's a good hack because then it'll narrow down. The hiring manager means the person who's actually hiring for that role, who you'd be interviewing. So you might be able to add them on LinkedIn, send them a respectful message. Don't just be like, hey, I'm applying, but this is who I am. I'm graduating soon. I'm really interested in your company. I've done a lot of research. This is some of my experience. Would it be okay if I send a resume your way? And they can say no. Let them tell you.
Yeah, that's so true. That's a good hack. I had never heard of that. And I struggle on the LinkedIn side of things as far as like how much should I post and like how much time should I devote to curating this? And some people treat it as a social media of like all of their accomplishments. Did you, when you were looking at applicants, did you search all of them on LinkedIn?
I do look on their LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to
That's
see
good to know
what they're up to and what they post about.
So if you see someone, me, who has posted pretty much nothing, is that concerning or a red flag?
Not necessarily. Yeah, not necessarily. I would say, people are reasonable, where it's like, okay, if they're a recent grad, they're a recent grad. You're not going to have CEO level experience. That doesn't make sense, but understanding the roles that you do have, put those on and detail those.
Great, thank you. So another part that I really wanted to talk to you about was kind of the financial world. And I feel like you're our team expert on this, because last year you held kind of a financials meeting about all kinds of stuff for young people to kind of take initiative upon as they're coming out of college and even now. I'm trying to think of the like presentation. What is like your overarching like tip or advice for us as far as like investing or credit cards and paying off loans? Like what's all that?
Yeah, I think the main thing that I would say would be intentional about your money and your budget. I loved doing that financial wealth building session. It was fun.
Girls loved it.
Something I was super passionate about and still am. I think a lot of people are afraid of money, and there are some good reasons, right? I mean, inflation has skyrocketed, rent is higher, all these different areas that for young grads, it's like, what's the point? Sometimes we feel that, and so many things in the media will kind of be down on this, but the reality is like, better is available. Like you can do really well. And a big part of it is figuring out how to be disciplined. And I always say like a budget is not a diet. Okay. I hate diets, but a budget,
this one liner,
a budget is not a diet. A budget is actually just your priority list in numbers. So there are the priorities of things you have to take care of, like your gas, your rent, your food. But then if you love spending time with friends, maybe you've got a budget for going out to eat or the bars or whatever that you've got as kind of a line item. That should be important. That is that community aspect and that friend aspect. Let your budget determine that, but don't, and I'm so guilty of this, don't give up and don't spend money on, things that don't actually matter to you. And a lot of times, we might blow money on subscriptions that we forgot about. Convenience is one that I'm working on. I don't need to go out to eat just because I forgot to pack a lunch. Like I can plan ahead, those kinds of things. And and there's ups and downs to it.
Yeah.
For me, you know, I'm happy to be transparent about this. I graduated with a ton of student loan debt
Yeah.
and a car payment. And so to me, I described it as graduating and just looking on the horizon, seeing like this black storm cloud coming towards me. I was like, I'm overwhelmed. I won't make it on this income. I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
And so figuring out how do you get ahead in your job. For me, you know, again, not a plug, but I'm definitely a Dave Ramsey fan.
Okay.
People have mixed opinions.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, if you can find someone else
Yeah.
who has made, you know, this many people in the United States net worth millionaires, let me know.
Yeah.
Like, honestly. So for me, you know, following that system has helped me tremendously. Really just figuring out how to live well. And, you know, he looks at it, he's an evangelical, so he looks at things from a Christian perspective. And I would encourage you, even if you feel like you don't have a lot of money, to tithe a little bit. You know, ultimately, like, everything we have is from God anyway. You know, and I think that just allowing him to take care of you in that way and giving it back, you know, whether it's your church that you're involved in or, you know, charities you care about. There's so many good things.
Yeah. That's like, you know, $10 can be a lot for some people, and then it can be nothing. And so it is giving, though, it's giving that more.
Yeah.
In the donation. I struggle with finances in the sense, like, I worry about them pretty consistently, to the point where I'm like, food shop this week or not. Did you struggle with, when you were looking at that storm cloud, did you struggle with anxiety about finances? Is that like your personality to be like, maybe I'm just more prone?
No, and the stats are there too. Like, finances is one of the number one stressors for adults.
Yes,
right?
I'm an adult in that sense. Love it.
This is really niche, but sometimes I like to think about the caveman era. Not that I was there, but like back then we had threats, right? You had like the hunter gatherers. We were worried about the bears and the tigers coming to get us.
Yes.
Here in the United States, unless you're really living in the woods, you don't have those kind of predators. But our society is so much based on, you know, commodities and financial gain that the real predators are credit card companies, debt, being, you know, someone taking over your business because you weren't, you know, able to pay your bills, those kinds of things. So there is a real threat there in our culture, you know, and so having that anxiety, that tension of like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? That is real, you know, and I think as Christians, like, I have to constantly give that back to the Lord. And I've been working on that a lot, especially
I think I need
this year. And just realizing like, okay, Lord, like, you gave me this money for a reason, and this is, you know, this is a good example. Okay, when I was in college, and I still was thinking about finances in college, I went to Publix with my dear roommate, and I just was complaining endlessly. I was like, I cannot believe the price of groceries. You know, I say that. And then my roommate turns to me and she goes, you know, when I come here and I buy my breakfast for the weekend because we didn't want to eat at the cafeteria, she's like, I'm like, thank you, Jesus, that I've got the ability to buy some good food that I actually want to get. And I'm like,
slap in the face.
I got it. But it's good. You know, it helps you realize. And I think everyone, if they can, you know, general statements are, you know, what they are. But if you can go on mission trips, if you can get in touch with the other side of the world, like, it just fundamentally changes your perspective too. So for me, I didn't go because I was a good person, but I did go to Colombia. I've served in Detroit. I've gone to Honduras, and just seeing like the level of poverty, even in our own country, and just realizing like I do have a lot, and I have a lot to give too. And so I think understanding that wealth building ultimately isn't the goal. The goal isn't to just get super rich. Okay, that's that's not a
worldly
that's
goal.
that's not an open goal. But I think for me, I am inspired by people like Tom Monahan, who decided, I've got the idea, I've got the work ethic, I'm gonna do something larger than life with this money, and I'm gonna save souls. Like, that to me is such a good mission. And so just seeing how people are living that out with their families and with their finances really inspiring.
What have you had any investments or stocks? Do you keep up with that? Have you had that for a while?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep up with that pretty well. If you are ever interested, I would really recommend calculating your net worth. It'll be a little, maybe not great to know, but then there's so many great free calculators on, like 401k investments. So primarily right now, my 401k is my focus.
Okay.
So that's through my job. There's, a lot of companies do a match. Mine does as well. I'm not a big recommender of like going for single stocks and all of that, mostly I don't think I can beat the computers. Like, I'm not going to be that smart.
Maybe beat the algorithm.
But I think, investing in a 401k portfolio and checking your portfolio too to see like, okay, how much of this is domestic, how much is international. I'm not claiming to be an expert on this, but I've learned a lot, and I think looking into that is helpful. But looking up, in the financial world, they talk about like compound interest being another wonder of the world. It really is. I mean, it's just math. If you do the math, you can figure out pretty quickly that normal people actually can become millionaires over time. I will not be a millionaire tomorrow, but
give yourself
by retirement, yes.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe something my generation struggles with, is having that foresight into saving now to be of greater benefit later. I think we're just I don't know, maybe I'm just really dampening my generation, but I just feel like we're very much a now generation, and we only see what can we get now, how can we benefit now. And so I feel like we are struggling, or we need a reminder to like save now, and it will benefit you a lot later in life.
Definitely. Yeah. In fairness, to kind of contradict, but I actually am really impressed with Gen Z as a whole. Like, so one of the players asked me that one time, like, what do you think of us? I was like, I think you girls are awesome. And gentlemen too, if you're listening. But really, I do see such a spirit of like being smart about finances, figuring out, okay, how does this work? How do I get ahead? How do I make the best choices? I think you guys are good at that. I think you guys are very good at prospecting, not just taking conventional wisdom.
Interesting. Okay, thanks for giving us a little pat on the back, because I think I'm way too harsh sometimes, so that's good. It's probably because I'm living in it, and so it's good to see a different perspective. One last note on financials is looking after post-grad, like living situations. And I think that's also another thing, is I'm trying to work as much as I can because I want to save to pay rent, right out of the gate. How was what's been your experience with getting houses or apartments or renting since kind of graduating from college?
Yeah, I think I've lived with roommates. Right now I live alone. Might go back to living with roommates next year, more for the community aspect, to be honest. But I'm a big proponent of live simple when you graduate. There's going to be a temptation to like get the crazy place, do all the things. You don't need to do everything at once. You can be really happy. I lived with a few girls in Boston. We had a blast. It was we were all kind of like in it together at like the very insane time of our lives, and we would just crack up every day. I mean, it really was a lot of fun. So I would say just like be patient. We live in such a microwave culture. We love Amazon and everything else just instant, but especially for finance, it's okay to go slow. It's okay to, build up that buffer, that emergency fund, that can really come into play. But don't be afraid too. I mean, you don't have to live at home for the rest of your life. There might be a season of that, but it doesn't need to be forever. And again, it goes back to that trust of like, all right, Lord, where do you want me at this season of my life?
Yeah. And I think it's trust or knowing that you will fail and learn from that mistake, but it's okay. I mean, we are not shooting for perfection here. And I think sometimes I and my peers need to just remind ourselves of that, is like, we will make mistakes with finances and just post-grad life, shifting into this new phase. And so we just have to remember that and stay humble.
Am I allowed to ask you a question on this?
Oh, yes.
You know, I wonder, thinking of like the Gen Z thing and where I'm at now as a coach, like, what does your generation need from the people before you, the old people?
Not old people, just our elders. No. That's a good question. I think we live, I feel like, in our society, such confusion. And there's so many different angles of advice that we're getting, and through social media, and I feel like that's a big proponent, is like, we are being told how to live. We are being told how to live. This is what you should do to eat healthy. This is not what you should do. This is how you save money. This is not how you save money. We're getting a lot of advice, but not from an actual person face to face. I would say a big thing is understanding and patience. And I don't know if this is just my own take, but I feel like there's sometimes big divides of understanding between me and like my older siblings or even my parents, because I feel like our generation is just so different than what it's been even 10 years ago. So I think it would be really good to have face-to-face advice again. But just have a good conversation with mutual patience and understanding. I feel like would be really good.
Definitely.
I mean, the whole podcast like mantra is to have that conversation back, because I think we're losing that, just like interpersonal relationship and community that way. And so I feel like that's what first came to mind. It's just patience and understanding, and we want that wisdom. We need that wisdom. But yeah.
No, that's brilliant. Sense. I mean, I learned this somewhat recently. Like, there was a massive shift, right, in your generation of everyone before you had that, we'll call them authority figure, where information came from that person. Yeah. So if you think about like growing up in school for your older sibling,
yes.
You know, everybody before this, it was, okay, I go to school and I learn about what I learn about. I go to cross practice and I learn about what I learned about. And now, you know, there's, like you mentioned, so many different information sources, and you guys are more prospectors, and so figuring out how do you sort through all of this,
all the noise and distraction. And so, like you said, living simply, I think we need to just communicate simply and in person. I think we just need that again.
I love that.
Yeah. It'll start small.
Yes.
It's a small initiative to make that happen. Okay, we have one little segment. This has been great too, by the way. Thank you very much for doing this, Coach Steph. It's been fun with my peers, but it's really good to get someone like a seasoned adult on here, being able to bestow that wisdom. So we do a rookie rock or flop. And I was thinking, I don't have like anything major that I can like recently talk about. Do you have any rookie rock or flops or advice to maybe not rock or not flop?
I love the rocker flop concept. I think I'm gonna remember that later for different things. Yeah, mine would be asking for help and figuring out it is so okay to ask for help and to figure out if there's someone who can do something better than you, ask them. If it's a professional thing, pay them. So for me, really working on cleaning up my house, my environment, keeping things together. But I also have 2 jobs and work constantly and hate cleaning. So I actually did, I asked for help by hiring a really great cleaning lady and tipping her well and being like, okay, she comes, you know, when she needs to, and I'm able to text her and be like, hey, I've got family coming in town and nothing's done. Is there any chance?
And work, I need help.
And that's really life changing. Just doing those little things of figuring out, okay, it's a priority for me to maintain a good home, and also this is not the week for me to spend 6 hours cleaning the bed.
Interesting. That's really good. I'm prideful in those respects of asking for help.
There's this weird guilt too of like, oh, I should be like a homemaker and know how to do all these things that I've never done before. Like, no, what? I don't get paid to be a cleaning lady. Why would I be good at that? I'm gonna try. I'll try to get better. I'll like maintain it most of the time, but if not, outsource.
You know. That's really good. I like that. Do you have any last minute tips or advice for anyone in college or about to graduate before I do my little wrap up?
Yeah, I guess it's just occurring to me two things. One would be no one has it all together, and thinking back to what you talked about with social media and all these different voices of what to eat, how to work out, how to dress, all these things.
Yeah.
It's not really helping us. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
But being able to detach, and I really like the gratitude journal, but you don't need to buy the specific journal, but do the structure of it, which is just writing down 3 things that you're grateful for.
Yeah.
And then also writing down a couple of tasks, the most important things that I'm going to accomplish today. If you were to do that instead of scroll in the morning, your life's going to change, because what you're doing is telling your mind, I'm safe. Like gratitude communicates to your mind, I'm safe. I have what I need. And then from there, getting your objectives of these are the things I'm going to accomplish.
Wow, that's great. I like that, the gratitude journal. Okay, well, thank you very much, Coach Steph. This was super exciting, and thank you all for listening or watching. Hopefully you learned a lot about the practical stuff of applying for jobs and resumes and being okay when not everything is okay. But thank you for joining and listening. I will be back in 2 weeks, and I hope you have a good couple weeks, and I will see y'all then. Bye.